It makes a huge difference if we chose something or if we were forced to face something. Both lead to the same outcome, if you will, but if you were forced to do it, next time a similar situation comes around, you still don't quite know if you can trust in yourself. If you've consciously chosen it, what it teaches you is to actually trust in yourself. Welcome, everybody, to our energy forecast and analysis for February 2022. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy coach, energy healer, and visionary, and I guide you through the energies of the past and coming months. So yes, traditionally we do a little review here at the beginning of our forecast to get the right context, and then we move on into what these energies of the next 4 to 6 weeks are going to bring for us. For a more personal response, you can book the energetic tune-up session with me. It's on Saturday at 5 p.m. In that, I do a personal clearing and reading for you and give you a detailed reading and report about what these challenges and opportunities are that are coming in for you personally. So let's start out with these end of January and beginning of February energies. Yeah, the powerful new moon here right on the 1st of February, bringing in something that some of you can already feel in the energy forecast for week 5. I'm going to elaborate a little more on this. Yeah, this has to do with things becoming aware to us. Things are really bursting to the forefront, erupting, yeah, in us. The anger and the grief kind of purging, yeah, blowing out. This will be significant here for this first week of February, because this purge, this release, okay, which can be a little intense on this, collective level, as far as like unrests, protests, and so forth is concerned, is needed though for healing. It is the needed energy release, yeah, that we need now to take a breath, to rest, to find the right mindset as to how we want to proceed from here. Yeah, there's been a 180-degree turn as predicted, and many of our countries, some of your countries already have, some of our countries are about to, and some of your countries may take a month longer for that, but they're going to reverse the mandates, the restrictions in regards to COVID, and COVID is slowly trickling out. There'll be, things that we still have to deal with as far as like the disease itself is concerned, yeah, until the end of March into April. But for the most part, guys, this is the end of the pandemic. Yeah, we're going to learn how to live with this. We're going to see this as, just another flu or another cold, okay? And it will be hard for us to remember why there was so much panic. Now, to be fair, the virus has mutated, and there's still a lot of unanswered questions in regards to the origin of this virus, and even the origin of the Omicron variant, yeah, that came in right at the time, the pinnacle, yeah, of fear with almost surgical precision. Obviously, there's going to be more and more revelations about this, and especially to the end of February, but into April, yeah, in regards to the pandemic only. Now, there's a larger picture here that will continue to determine, how we as the collective perceive this whole sort of transformation, yeah, that is going on. I'm calling this getting vaccinated, yeah. So facts are starting to trickle in, and as I have predicted this, yeah, in like a year and 2 months ago, yeah, we're gonna need to get inoculated for real, yes, on that consciousness level. So there's an inoculation going on that is happening for us, and just like natural immunity, those of us who will be present enough, who will have the awareness to make conscious choices, will experience that as a huge liberation. So for our overall society, this first week or two of February will feel like relief, yeah. But this is not the reason to check out. Unfortunately, that's going to happen a little bit here, like it has already happened in the UK, no, in Ireland mostly. That the pendulum swings too far out in the other direction. Obviously, we all want to celebrate our freedom back, but somehow it's not like, like the end of the Second World War or something. There is a bit of a backlash, there's a bit of an afterbite, and that is that we are, well, realizing how we have been towed around, yeah, and how in the process of all of this, a lot of our freedoms didn't just get restricted, but also permanently, yeah, withheld or taken away. This is something that will release a lot of anger, and people do not underestimate that. Yeah. So in that, February is going to be still a fast-moving month, and will bring in a certain level of roughness, yeah, on the outside. But for all of you energetically sensitives and empaths, that is actually a situation, even though you're all afraid of confrontation, but it's still a situation that can make you take a breather, because when things get purged, when things get released, yeah, the energetic pressure that you're feeling becomes less. What you are picking up on, especially in this sort of subtle and not so subtle way, but in this sort of a precognitive way, where you feeling this like a week or two before something is actually coming out in the collective, if you will, you always question yourself and you think it's just you. And that's something that you need to stop doing. You need to stand up, and recognize that your energetic sensitivity is kind of like a preview that you're getting. So stop questioning yourself, question your perception, yeah, and tone it down a little bit, and recognize that this is like outer weather conditions that you're going through, and all you really need is the right equipment, yeah, the right outfit to deal with that, and that's energy management, obviously, and self-mastery, yeah, so that you can rely on yourself, you can rely on your own ability to adjust, yeah, to correct, and to modulate, yeah, and that's really what is meant with energy management. That's something that you can systematically learn. Traditionally, those of you who are energetically sensitive, they have felt attracted to that way before other people even knew what energies were, yeah, simply because you had to, yeah, you needed to find tools that help you to deal with this. But this is all coming into mainstream now, guys. So this purge, yeah, that is coming out in the collective view in form of protest riots and so forth, can be a little destructive in February. So we have to be careful what we're buying into. Remember that when the pendulum swings in the other direction, that it's still relatively low in vibratory rate. It's still below truth. Yeah, so it isn't in truth until it's basically in the balance point, yeah, in the 0 point where it reaches the highest level of stability, where there's no more force needed to maintain it. Yeah, so let's all be compassionate here with our friends and the collective at large, how the fear conditioning has pulled them into their inner darkness and into blind trust. Yeah, understand that this destruction of illusion, that is a bummer. Yeah, because many of us, the majority of us, have seen this illusion as our safety line, and now we're being basically told that it was all just a fluke. Okay, so yeah, this isn't going to go over well, because as we've discussed on other occasions, there's going to be ramifications, medical ramifications to people's health that still have to be dealt with over the next 3 to 5 years, guys. So that's pretty serious. And this isn't about our political opinion. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This, unfortunately, is a medical scientific fact. Okay, so there's anger there's disappointment and disempowerment that needs to come forward. But for us energetically sensitives, there is a sense of relief, because when it's coming out in the forefront, we no longer have to deal with those subdued energies, emotional energies that make our bodies feel so heavy. Now, our personal response to this obviously needs to be observed as well. There's a lot of tendency to go into the victimizer here, to shift from the victim into the perpetrator, and sort of have this drive for revenge. We're going to have to use a little bit of self-restraint here, because that's not moving us to a truth. What can move us to a truth is to do some honest shadow work, and to recognize how some of these fallacies and error perceptions of our ego could pull us into a state of consciousness that made it impossible for us to discern truth. So my message to all of you, as you know, this is something that I have been talking about for over a decade here on YouTube, is that you take things into your own hands, you take charge, and learn what it takes, or what you need to discern truth. Yeah, and this is the beauty of this February, because it really brings in this clarity that is needed to see things the way they are, like it or not. Okay, we need that. That's basically the prerequisite for truth. You have to be willing to allow truth. Yeah, that without that, you're not going to see it, because your ego forms so many strong barriers, yeah, and blind spots and blocks that literally prevent you from seeing truth. Yeah, so February is all about, those changes that are coming in, and who needs to do what. And there's obviously a larger perspective here that's concerning our whole planet, and all our societies and world government and stuff like that. And then there's a subjective process, how we experience this individually. Yeah, and when it comes to us individually, as I've just reported, then see February as the month of new calibration. You're calibrating yourself, you're orienting yourself, you're setting your inner compass new. Yeah, you're resetting your clock. Okay, you're putting in a new battery. Okay, yeah, that's how you can look at it. This will, and we can already feel this, especially to the end of February, bring in more confidence in ourselves, more trust in ourselves. Yeah, it will make us stronger. Okay, and what that actually is, yeah, that we're gaining here, we're not in a place of freedom yet, but we have moved through this collective experience. We have moved into a higher level of maturity, and personally will gain from that, because maturity, truth, wisdom always wins. Why? Because it's self-sustainable. Power, games, manipulation, gaslighting, mind control, war, fear porn, fear mongering cannot win. They can mislead us, but they cannot win, because they take an enormous amount of power, enormous amount of force, actually, to maintain that. And that force that it takes, yeah, that force that's based on greed, yeah, on fear, on anger, yeah, these lower vibratory goals that we call darkness, they have a self-destruct programmed in. So you don't really need to do anything. All you got to do is sidestep and not play the game. Let that dark game that is going on self-destruct. It will do that by itself. You do not have to add anything to that. You do not have to take on any of the karma of that. But you also need to know when to step out. Because if you don't, you take on that collective karma. Yeah, phantom pain and phantom fear. Now you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so collectively, it's obviously, you know, not something that we kind of call, you know, a golden time. Okay, so we're looking at a bit of a rough time here, but it's, you know, something that makes our societies, that makes our collective grow in the end. Yeah, any time we have a jump in maturity, okay, we're grown and we can, you know, learn something from this, and it will ultimately provide us with higher levels of consciousness and confidence and understanding and trust. Yeah. So understand that the month of February here is basically the bridge month, yeah, in which self-destruct, yeah, becomes sort of part of the game now. And my tip for you overall is lean back. Allow this new clarity to come in. Don't resist it. Don't beat yourself up. Yeah, understand that there's a huge machinery. There's a huge darkness here that we were confronted with, still are. Yeah, huge confrontation with untruths that will still continue to unravel over the next years to a point of disbelief. Yeah, because blind trust always, you know, brings in disbelief because, you know, you wanted it to be true. Yeah, this is why your ego is the actual enemy. And that's why if somebody wants to control you, all they got to control your ego. They don't have to control what you eat, what you think, and what you say. Because if they control your ego, they know what you're going to eat and what you're going to say and what you're going to do. Yeah. And if there is any iota of pride left in you, human dignity, okay, let this be pride. Let this be the pride that you are human, that you're proud to be human, that you're not a machine. Yeah. And stand up for that. February is all about making conscious choices. And these conscious choices, yeah, not just la, no, conscious choice. This is a conscious choice to be a human. They are faithful. They are bigger than just you. They are going to form a legacy. That's why in the discussion just a few minutes ago, I suggested that you work with the imagery of, you know, sitting there and talking to your great-grandchildren who basically ask you to be their life oral history book and report about how you've experienced these dark times. Who do you want to represent there? What do you want to tell your great-grandchildren? Think this through. That's the level of conscious choice that I'm talking about. Yeah. So this deep transformation is now taking on the next step. It's now really about looking forward, moving forward. So this will feel good, you know. But like I said, it also brings a little bit of self-destruction with it. So we need to recalibrate. We need to reorient ourselves, set our compass needle to where we truly want to go. Yeah, and remember that this is about embodiment. Yeah, that it's all about the physical reality of things, and that means that we're going to have to be able to trust in ourselves. We're going to have to be able to rely on ourselves. And this starts with how you handle your own ego. This starts with self-mastery. And only so, guys, and this is what February is going to give us a glimpse of, can you find your true heart's desire. It's lurking right around the corner, the next corner, your true heart's desire. But only, as the name says, if you're standing in truth. So my suggestion to you is that you go with these energies. Yeah, it's always best to accept them the way they are, just like weather. Yeah, get a coat on. Yeah, learn the right tools to deal with this and go with what is needed to get through this. What is needed to get through this? You need a clear head. You need good communication. Yeah, good communicational tools. You need to really pay attention to your inner guidance, to your inner attitude. If you have a lot of negative inner self-talk, your chances of seeing your future and life negatively and it manifesting negatively are obviously, through the roof. Yeah. But the same also happens if you shift your attitude toward life and if you shift to a more positive and optimistic outview on life, because then you are more likely to manifest a more positive future. Yeah. So you're going to have to look at things the way they are, be willing to accept it, even if it includes that you have to look at some of your own shadow and some of, the triggered stuff. Yeah, that always comes forward when you do shadow work, because when you do shadow work, you discover it's like you buried talents and true heart's desires. It's the part of you that you cannot love yet. And there's a reason why we buried that. Yeah, it's linked to our trauma. And so when we allow this to come forward, obviously it will remind us of the trauma. But just because we're reminded of the trauma doesn't mean that we have to re-experience or re-traumatize ourselves. Yeah, we just need to learn how to acknowledge it. That's why we're going to engage in trauma healing this month here at transCODES with our public transmissions. In January, we did trauma clearing. Now we're actively going to work with it. Yeah, and as for these things that can be triggered there, yeah, pay attention to your own coping mechanisms. A lot of addictions are going to get triggered, but also some really, really cool things, especially. And yes, I'm happy to report that around Valentine's Day, yeah, that this is actually a really positive time again for our relationships. Yeah, it will be so much easier for us to clearly express what it is that we need, what it is that we want, and where we want to go. So it will release all this tension in our relationship and really lead to a new beginning. Yeah, we just need to make sure that we keep an eye on this inner tension between wanting our unconscious drive and desires to be satisfied, as in greed, versus our greater goals and our higher thinking. Yeah, that allows us to see things through a different lens, namely through a more conscious desiring of things, a more conscious thinking. Yeah, and that's what we need to move forward now. Yeah, do not allow yourself to go into autopilot, guys. Yeah, that is especially to it the later half of February after the full moon on the 18th. That's the 16th. Around this between the 16th and 18th. Yeah, you really need to keep this in check at first. The first 2 weeks with the influx of more or less the strict restrictions, we're all going to feel this outburst of like, finally we can let go. But then you're going to have to bounce back, guys, because this is about being more mature now and not letting this happen again. Another positive aspect of February is you know, a really new innovation cycle that is starting, one that is based on more realistic goals and with this sort of common sense thinking that I've already elaborated on in the energy updates that come out every Friday. Yeah, that we actually step into, wait a minute, you know, what is actually realistic here and what works and what doesn't work. Yeah, things still have to be grounded. They have to, you know, have a good foundation. And for crypto lovers out there, yes, guys, it happened again. Okay, the 32, I don't know if the 32 was actually touched, the 32K for Bitcoin, but as I predicted it. So please don't make any moves here until the 29th. Observe the market capitalization, observe the 24-hour volume. Those are your markers, okay, for big moves happening in the market. There is a new cycle that starts here by the end of January on the 29th, and by the 18th of February, you're going to see that there's going to be regulatory things that come in again, almost unexpected, that are going to give the whole section of blockchain developments and you know, the cryptocurrencies that are based on blockchain a new foundation. So this innovation cycle, guys, that I have been talking about for so many years now in regards to blockchain is now coming forward. For most of you who are not technically interested, you're probably not really going to hear the word blockchain, but know that there is this new innovation cycle coming. It's part of our collective karma to go through technological innovation and learn how to handle it, right? So yes, transhumanism is real and it is scary, but if you go into fear and anger with it, guys, you're just going to do a repeat of the pandemic. Okay, what you're going to have to do instead is consciously choose how you want to look at it. You know, and if you stand and choose, you don't have to go into this panic fear. Yeah, and the mind control makes, you know, that's what makes you susceptible. So conspiracy theories, guys, are just as untrue as the power games. The truth is in the middle. Okay, and that's what I suggest you make your choice. And in order to do that, allow this clarity about your own shadow and your own darkness to come in. Don't beat yourself up. Understand that this is part of your psyche, part of your psychology, part of your spirituality, part of your energy. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, then learn it. This is going to be the knowledge, yeah, for the next century. You have to know these things so you understand yourself and others better, yeah, so that, yeah, you become able to discern truth. My personal tip to all of you, and I want to invite you, the Sacred Self-Healing community, and everybody watching this, to join us for a 3-day reboot fast. This fast that I do with my community here is not a full-on fast. It's we're not going to shock your system here. Many of you are still dealing with all kinds of disease and so forth. We just want to train restraining our ego, and for that purpose, we're just going to do fruit, you know, juice, fruit and vegetable juices and broths, yeah, and use those as a fast, so a liquid fast for 3 days. I'm going to publish the dates in the new calendar, and to stay tuned, please watch the energy updates that I record live on Skype. That's one link for you. You'll find this here in the description, where we do daily online meditations for free, energy talks, and energy updates. And if you want personal energy coaching, if you would like to know more about the programs that I offer to learn energy management, to learn the vocabulary and all the tools that are needed for self-mastery, then please go to transcodes.com. The website is still under construction, but at least now you can sign up for ongoing sessions and book a personal energy coaching session with me. With that, I would like to close. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sacred Self-Healing community, for this wonderful discussion that we had here right before the energy forecast. Wishing you a wonderful transition into this new energy of February, yeah, will be a welcome shift for all of us. But it's not time to check out yet, guys. You still need to stay on your toes. Yeah. So enjoy this and, well, allow truth to be there. I love you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.